So this is our 1969 Chevy Camaro project that's currently at hand. So another F-body in Jamesfreddys home shop. Let's take a quick look at it. So the story I know of with this car is that it's a 3-owner car. The current owner has owned it since 1990. I don't remember if he mentioned if it was a Tucson car or not off the top of my head. It currently sits with all its original sheet metal except for the fiberglass cowl induction hood, which is vintage to the era of the 90s when it was picked up. And we're going to do some very minimal work to this, such as small repairs, a little bit of rust work in the driver's side and passenger side floorboard. You've already seen the spoiler repair, and then panel alignment, a little bit of custom work on the firewall. Other than the minor body work and rust work that will be done, the car is, for the most part, rust free. There have been 2 small rust patches, or maybe even just one, in the bottoms of the fenders. Right in here where they normally go where the structure is. So the driver's side of this car appears to be in very good condition. With what I'm seeing here on the surface, there is a little bit of body work in here, and then a little bit of body work down here in the fender, which is starting to crack out right here, so we'll probably inspect where that was. Other than that, up front where the engine displacement emblem was, those holes were welded up and done. There's the bodywork, and I'd also like to note that the flanges were rolled over to accommodate a larger tire, and that may be something we decide to address as well. Okay, and here's that lower fender. We can see the filler work and pinholes in the bottom here, but also along the edge you can see that the filler is cracked and starting to rust through. We're getting a little cracking in there. So we'll dig that out and see what's going on. Alright, now there was a new header purchased for this vehicle because a pole or something while in storage had fallen on the front of it and left a large grapefruit dent and a pretty hard dent here. But when I reached my hand up under this dent, it popped right out. So in goal with the idea of keeping as much original sheet metal on such a well surviving car, we're going to go ahead and try and fix this out. So there's still a low here and obviously that hard dent there. The passenger side is beat up more, of course, like always it seems like in these cars, with some stuff going on in this area. That flanging around the wheel well is out. It appears to have taken a hit right here in the door, and this is where that rust patch, that was the only rust patch that I know of in the car so far, is. We'll take a closer look at that. There's also a little filler work in here in the door, and you can see some pinholes, and that body line is supposed to be rounded out by about here somewhere, and it actually continues on a little bit sharper than it's supposed to. But here's the door where it's got some filler, and we can look at the inside, and then the fender where our rust patch was. Let's take a look at the inside. This is the inside of that door, and we can see a little bit of the shrinking that went on in there. What I'm seeing here is the inner structure, the rear inner structure of the right fender, and it has been cut through probably when the original patch was gone, and I believe that when we get it off, the front end off, we'll go ahead and weld that up and take a closer look at it. And then it's going to be hard to see, but as you get a little bit beyond that, you can see some weld holes with a little bit of short stand fiberglass worms pushing through. factory blue interior, and I believe the exterior came white, or at least was white at one point. And we're looking at the passenger side floorboard. This appears to be like some silicone or some type of something on top of it, and that's probably where we'll find a little bit of our rust on this side of the car. For a moment there I thought that this was beaten up a little bit, but it doesn't appear to be that way now as I look at it closer. It looks like it's more about the drain to come out, and then there's a little bit of damage right there. We can also see the back side of the riveting that was done to close up the heater box and all that, which all that's coming out, and we're gonna weld in a custom plate to make it smooth. Door hinges were rebuilt in the car, and I believe it was probably more of just a pins and bushing thing, and probably not the type where you drill and replace the roller. That roller was stuck, so I put a little white lithium on the slide and then dropped some tool oil down into the roller mechanism because it was just sitting there popping. And I know that it's before paint, and you wouldn't normally want to get lube on something before paint, but I rebuilt some hinges in a 69 Roadrunner one time, and because I didn't lube it, it actually wore out the roller and all that. So I went ahead and put a little bit there, and then when it comes time for paint, we'll just make sure to clean them up real good. This was something new to me because of the fiberglass hood. The original hood hinges get these smaller springs, and I've always heard about it, but I've never actually seen that before, so that's going to be cool to check out. So it'll be a functioning fiberglass hood with the lightweight springs so you don't break the fiberglass. And we've got driver's side floor and a little bit more rust holes and work to do up in here, but all in all in really good condition. The whole floor patch was purchased, like a rust patch that would come up probably somewhere into here, but we'll take a look at that as we go. We might be able to just section in the smaller bits as we can. It's been pushed, floor's been pushed up here, and it's got a little bit of work over here as well. The back of the car here, you can see that we already did the spoiler. You saw that on video, and then I've started pulling the dents from where I shrunk the metal, welding it up. So at the taillight panel here, it took another hit, and of course where the bumper and bumperettes were, they got kind of smacked. Over here the Bondo is starting to crack, and over here the filler was just applied and not blocked out yet. So I'm curious to take a look at this and see why that filler's cracking, and maybe we can fix that, but we're not going to go too overboard, and this is all pretty straight, so we'll just smooth out some of the rough edges and keep it looking good. Currently I'm not really shutting this door because the striker needs to be put in the right spot, but I want to take a quick look at the panel alignment issues that I'm noticing in the car that we're going to want to correct. First of all, we'll start out with tramming the subframe in and getting that into shape. So we've got a little bit of panel alignment work to do in the front end. When this door is shut, the gap here is really tight, and we just want to work on that. Over here on the passenger side, we want to take a look about improving this line's low, and the gap's just not quite even, but no big deal. And then something I'd like to take a look at is like the arch on this deck lid. I want to see if I can improve that and make it match the quarter panels a little bit better. Shot of the firewall and the engine bay before we get going. Again, we'll clean up and smooth out the firewall and get that taken care of. So, this is the new 69 Camaro project in the shop. I hope you all decide to stick along for the project as we go forward and keep uploading these videos for the memorabilia of it all.